Casia hated thunderstorms because they reminded her of the night she had watched her mother kill her father. A bone-rattling boom in the present, and suddenly Cas was unwillingly back in the past. 9 years old, and crouching behind the claw-footed chair, smelling the dust in the suede fabric, feeling the rough floor beneath her bare feet while her tiny body quivered from a mixture of fear and sickness. Another clap of thunder. Back in the present. Cas shifted closer to the rocks lining the mountain path. The rain started to fall in earnest. She gave her head a little shake, trying to spill the remnants of memory from it. She couldn't stay in that memory. Not tonight. Too many things were riding on tonight being a success. Swiping the damp strands of hair from her eyes, Cas settled into a crouch, making herself as small as possible before creeping forward into the shadows cast by the rock ledges and the sparse bit of vegetation still growing this high up. She gripped the rough, knobby branch of a leafless and crooked tree, and then froze beneath it as she heard a low hissing sound. Her hand cautiously reached for the bow across her back. The hissing soon grew louder, accompanied by the whisper of scales sliding against stone. "Rock viper," she muttered to herself as she reached for an arrow, her eyes wide and scanning the nooks and crannies for its hiding spot. There. A pair of yellow-slit eyes locked on her face. It flung itself from the ledge in the next instant, lashing toward her with its mouth open, its fangs flashing along with the lightning. Her arrow was faster. It pierced the creature in midair, causing it to break into a violent, twisting dance as it fell. The viper landed belly up and thrashed against the gritty ground for a few seconds. Thump, 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 before the stillness of death overtook it. Cas put a boot on its shovel-shaped head and yanked the arrow out, wiped the blackish blood off on a nearby cluster of weeds, and then continued on her way. There were likely more of those serpents lingering nearby, so she kept her bow out, nocking and readying an arrow every time she rounded a corner or crested a steep rise of the pebbly path, although the vipers were the least of her concerns, really, in spite of the venom they carried. There were far worse creatures that haunted these paths. Feral dogs, and the malevolent Kiwi spirits, and countless other nasty things made of teeth and claws and ire. And most of those things would not be felled by a single arrow. There were also soldiers allegedly waiting in the pass just ahead of where she stood, and that was perhaps the most unnerving thing of all. That skinny passage ahead was known as the Bone God's Pass, so called because of the white crystalline structures that reached out from its rock walls like skeletal fingers.